Hi everyone and welcome back to Paint With Me. Today I wanted to show you guys this wonderful present I got for Christmas. It is the Kuretake watercolour paint set with 36 full pans. Today I want to do a swatch of all the colours. I haven't opened this yet, so I'll be swatching and showing you for the first time what these paints are like. So I have no idea what they're going to be like to paint with yet, but I'm gonna swatch them on camera so you guys can see what they're like, so that you can see this in person yourself. So I'm gonna take the grid paper. I've gridded out the amount of colours I've got in this palette. It's a palette of 36 full pan watercolour paints. And I'm just going to start at the top here with number 32, and they've labelled it red. So let's give it a go and see what it's like. I'm really impressed by how much pigment it picked up with just a tiny bit of water on my brush. It just lifted straight off. I am having no problems whatsoever getting a nice, decent amount of pigment out of this paint. It has a really beautiful, rich colour red. It's a super warm tone, and it washes out really nicely. This next one is number 35, and they've called it Carmine. So this is a nice pink red. So it's still a deep red, but with like more of a pink undertone than an orange one. Next up we have Rose Madder. This one's a really, really nice, gentle pink. This is a rose petal kind of colour pink, but it builds up really, really nicely. I'm still really impressed by how much colour and pigment there is from so little working. With a lot of watercolour paints, you have to keep working and working the paint in order to get a decent amount of pigment, but that is not the case with these paints at all. They give you a really, really nice pigment, really rich and easy to work with, goes down on the paper so nicely. Then there's Cadmium Red, number 30. So this in my opinion looks like a dark vermilion would. So it has that same orange tone. Then we have a Cadmium Scarlet, which looks like vermilion, but ever so slightly more maybe burnt orange coloured. Then we've got Cadmium Orange, which is a nice sunset, kind of carrot coloured orange. It's really, really nice. Then we've got Yellow Ochre, and I think every single watercolour set should have Yellow Ochre, because it is so hard to mix every time you need it, but it's so useful for so many jobs. Like if you're doing skin tone colours, Yellow Ochre is a key mixing colour for making various skin tones. Then we've got our Cadmium Yellow, which is this nice, rich, deep orange yellow. Then we have Arulian, which is, I'd say, somewhere in the middle of the deep yellow and a lemon yellow. Just somewhere in the midway point. And then we've got our really very bright lemon yellow. And I really mean that I don't think that this is coming up on the camera as well as I'm seeing it in person, because this yellow is so vivid and so bright. I'm trying to keep my swatches clean, because as much as it's interesting to see how they bleed into one another, I really want to have a good reference point for when I do a little painting in a bit as to what colours I'm going to use to do what and layer where. Here is the olive green. Olive green is one of the colours that I really love having in a set because it's just a really nice sort of muddy dark green. Then we've got our sap green light, which is a nice leafy, grass leafy green. Then we've got sap green, which is very similar, but it looks like it has more of the olive green in it, so that it's a little bit more subdued, less bright. Still a really nice green. Then we have a hooker's green, which is number 52, and it's just a really nice pine foresty green. A lot of palettes end up getting this particular colour wrong, and they end up making it too washed out or having too much of a blue in it. But this is a really beautiful hooker's green. Then we've got sap green deep, which is again really similar to the hooker's green, but it's a lot warmer. Then we've got our Viridian. I really like this colour because it's got a sort of almost teal, dark mint colour. Then we've got our forest green, which seems very similar but darker and a little bit more blue-green. Then we have turquoise green deep, which is a really, really, really beautiful colour of bluey green. It just builds up so nicely. It's such a rich, dark, nice colour. I could definitely imagine myself painting some oceanscapes with this colour. Next is a colour I am not familiar with having in any of my watercolour sets, which is called malachite. Now this looks like the colour I'd expect mint choc chip ice cream to be. We've got ultramarine pale. I really like the addition of this colour because even though this would be really easy to mix with the ultramarine and a white, it's just a really satisfying colour. Next up is the ultramarine. Every single set of basic paints should have an ultramarine because it is so essential in your colour mixing. Next up is cerulean. Cerulean is possibly one of my favourite blues because it is just so in the middle. It's not too cold, not too warm, it's just like so perfectly in the middle. Then we have turquoise blue. I think this is a really, really nice turquoise. There's definitely very, very good colours to make oceanscapes here. We have Persian blue. Persian blue is one of my favourite colours to use when I'm using blues because it just adds that little bit of almost graphite-like gritty colour, like stormy weather, to your paintings. Then we have indigo. This one is Imperial Violet, and it is such a deep, beautiful purple. I've fallen in love with the purple in this palette. And the next one, which is Cobalt Violet, which is a very similar purple, but a little bit more red-toned, pink-toned. I think they both look like they'd be a dupe for Cadbury's purple. Then we've got a colour they're calling purple, which I think looks like magenta. Next they have burnt sienna, which is the other colour I feel like palettes really need to have to be a well-rounded palette, because it's used so often. Then we've got our raw umber deep. I think in my palettes I prefer having a burnt umber, which is a warmer brown, to a raw umber, but it's still a really beautiful raw umber colour. Then we've got our black. It's a really, really nice even black, and it covers really, really well. I'm going to go in here and do our white gold. So these colours are iridescent and don't completely cover, they're like a wash. I think you can see that here with the gold better than the iridescent white. So you can see that, you can definitely see the page underneath. But I feel like if you were washing this over the top of a colour, it would add some depth of character. You could create some really interesting, beautiful, intricate work with it. And the last one is the gold colour, which personally I think looks a little bit more copper, or maybe rose gold, because it has a sort of warm orange tone to it. And last of all, I'm going to swatch the white colour, because I find that it's really important to have a look and see what the white is like in your set, because a lot of companies have the issue that the binding agent they use for the watercolours tints the paint. So when you're using your white, it ends up being a little bit too cream, or having a little bit too much blue or grey colouring in it. But the white in this set is a perfect, brilliant white. I've just got this black piece of card, and I'm going to show you how like truly white the white is, and what these shimmers are like, because I feel like maybe on a black piece of card they'd be like a little bit easier to see. So you can see that they work a little bit more like a wash. And again, I think they'd work really, really nicely on top of a colour. So I'm going to take a little bit of the burnt sienna and work a little bit of the gold over the top. And I feel like you can immediately see that that's made all the difference. Then we've got our yellow ochre and a little bit of our cadmium yellow to give me a sort of colder gold colour, and I'm going to put the bluish gold on top. A little bit of the black and a little bit of the white to give me a really pale grey, and I can work the white gold over the top and it should appear quite silvery, hopefully. So I don't know if it's translating in the camera, but those are really, really shiny and sparkly colours. So altogether, that's all of our swatches done. Next, I am going to go straight into my video. I'm going to show you guys how I would use them, having just swatched them out and had a quick go. I think that these are very different from doing the swatches. They're very different to what I would normally use, which is the Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolours, which are really, really beautiful colours and create really lovely washes and gentle watercolours. But I think that this watercolour palette could create such vivid brights and such delicate soft pastels that you could get a whole different kind of painting style out of this paint. I'm really interested to see how well it goes painting with these for the first time ever. So I'm gonna sketch down some pansies, and we're going to have a quick look at what that's like. So I'll just jump into the painting. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a like. Comment in the comment section down below. I do try to respond to everybody who leaves me a comment. I love hearing from everyone who's watching my videos. It really does mean a lot to me on this channel. And subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content. If you want to see any specific videos on a specific paint or on a specific technique, please let me know in the comments. I do try and make videos that people request where I can. And thank you for watching. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel down below. Until next time.